Good morning. Today's tutorial is going to be me showing you how I took my sister's dull, lifeless blonde, overly blonde hair to this nice dimensional neutral tone with highlights look. She's going to have a baby and I want to make it more natural for her as it grows out. And this is how I do it. If you would like to see how, stay tuned. To begin, I section her hair off, and my formula for the low light is Shades Creams. I will put it below here, the 6 Warm Mocha, and the 6 NA. The reason for my formula is I would like a neutral tone. So by doing 3/4 of the 6 Warm Mocha, I know it's going to be really warm. It's going to have those fillers that we need, but you can see that her hair has a lot of warmth in it also. And then the natural ash is not extremely ashy. It's just enough to counteract um, the warm mochas are they're quite warm, and I don't want it to be. Her hair does grab the warmth very easily, and she wants to kind of keep it more neutral. Her natural hair color is like a dirty ashy blonde. It's gotten darker over the years, but we want it to blend in as it grows out. So these first couple foils, I'm bringing the low light all the way through. Now, once I get to the mid part of the back of the head, I do something different, and I'll show you, explain as I get there. But I want to have, she wants to mention all the way through to the ends. She doesn't want all the ends to be as light as they are, but she wants them to be lighter than the root and mid shaft. So basically, we have to, bring some low light down and some not, right? But I want a lot of blonde left in there also. So once I get to that part, I will explain how I do that, but making sure to, look at your section as you're moving up the head. I'm taking really wide panels. We're just doing a low light, so I'm making my life easier. I could be doing 2 sections on either side of the head and going all the way up, but that would just take more time, right? And I don't want to take all that time. So I'm just taking wider foils, taking wider sections. Now, highlights, I don't recommend doing this for. However, lowlights are different. You don't need to get it all the way up to the root. So doing this way is just perfectly fine. But we all want to, if you feel like I'm just kind of skimping out of something, you may feel that way. However, I feel like I'm not going to take extra steps that I don't need. Now, clearly, this section here is a bit wider, so I'm going to make sure that I do 2 in the back, 1 on each side, just to make sure I get that thoroughly as I want. But in general, you know, you got to think of ways. This is a longer process. She has a lot of hair, and I'm doing her in between another client. She's my sister. She understands that. So um, here's what I'm talking about. Now I put the low light halfway through. Now I'm taking this piece of hair and I want some lowlights all the way through, but not through the whole section. So I'm going to separate that out, pull the hair up, place another foil down, and then bring the dark through the ends here. That way it kind of just gradually gets lighter, right? It's the same idea as I have, and I'll link the video above, where I'm doing a highlight and then I weave out the lighter blondes out of the way and then lighten the darker hair in the same foil without over processing. This is the same idea, just the opposite. And I think I've said this before, but I like to add little tips and stuff in my videos as I go along. I, you know, I want to fast forward this here in a minute, and so you can just watch the rest until I get to the front. So it's a little bit quicker, but you can see how I place the foils and where I place the foils. But everybody's head's different. Her blondes are different places. There are some places, we did a really chunky blonde last time, a chunky highlight and low light. And we are trying to break that up. So I'm making sure to go, my sections are placed strategically. I'm not just grabbing some hair and throwing some low lights on there. I'm not doing two low lights to 1 all the way through. It's just kind of how I feel as I go up the head where it's needed. So I know that she's really blonde back here, and you want her to be quite a bit richer here than around the face. So I'm going to add more low light, but there are some places that probably have enough dark, but there's a chunk of blonde next to it. So I'm going to skip where I would normally weave and weave out that one spot. Just kind of, as you're adding your highlight and your low light in any head of hair, place it, picture how you want the hair to be, and know that, well, this is where I'm supposed to place it, but it might be too dark, but that's what my pattern tells me I need to put it. Don't go by that, because your pattern is what's in your head. Your pattern isn't on their head, it's in your head, and you know where you want to place it, and just kind of go do it the way, go with your gut. I think all of us as stylists, we're artists, and we have an intuition when it comes to that. So once we get to this, if we get to this robotic, 2 highlights to 1 low light, it just becomes too uniform, and hair is not uniform. Now, if that's the look you're going for, then by all means, do that. But when it comes to this situation, that's not what I'm going through for. I'm just going for a natural look, and so I'm going to make sure as I place the foils, I do that.
Next level. Next level.
Now for around the face, we want to keep it lighter, right? But we made it pretty bright last time. You see there's a chunk of blonde here. It looked great when we first got it done, but she's picking those prenatals. We literally had only done her hair, I think, 4 weeks ago. And it was to the root, that's for sure. But she wanted a chunky look, and now she's deciding that the roots come in way too fast. So I'm going to take, normally I would take the weave in front of this section and make it blonde. However, I'm taking the weave behind this section, a really fine one, and adding a low light. This way it breaks up that chunk there but leaves it brighter. I'm going to tone down all her blonde anyway, so she won't have a big bright piece there, but I don't want to also take away from the value of that big piece of blonde because we like it there. my sister has a bit of a funky hairline. I wish I could show you better. You can see how it kind of goes back away and the sides kind of point out. Um, it's always been a struggle for her. She wears her part way far over to the side, and I want to keep it bright there. So I am just going to do a really fine low light in there and skip a bigger section and do a finer highlight here. Or sorry, not highlight, low light, and bring that only part way down because I want to keep the blonde around her face. I want to break up that chunk, but leave the ends a bit bright. Toned her with Shades Gloss 9B, 9GR, 7N, and 7NB for 10 minutes. And got this beautiful caramel toned highlight with neutral low lights. The goal was to make it look like she had her natural base just with some highlights in there. Maybe not her natural color, but and this is how it turned out. We were very pleased with it. I love seeing the bright blonde in there, but it's not overly blonde. It has a nice brown tone to it. And as it fades, clearly it's going to lighten up a bit closer to her natural color. Now we will refresh her before she has the baby and maybe add richen it up a little bit, but she should be there for a few weeks. The baby shower is the very next day. It turned out great. Her hair was beautiful. She was beautiful. And I cannot wait for my nephew to come. She's my only sibling, and this is her first child. But thanks for watching. I hope you return. If you'd like to see more, subscribe and click that little bell to be notified. And like it. If you like this video and how it turned out, please let me know. And thanks for coming. And I'll hope to have more out for you very soon.